Welcome to the third edition of the Park Talks, coming to you from our studio at Suddermount. My name's Tom Feening, and today I'll be introducing you to some of the best entrepreneurs from the Parks Network. Coming up this week, we have Malcolm Larry from Brave Personal Development, who'll be talking to us about his journey as a coach. Next up, we'll be joined by Georg Simonian, CEO and founder of Libretto, who'll be telling us more about his mission to provide the freshest financial information. And finally, Vilta Secchi, CEO and co-founder of Nordconn, joins us to speak about her boutique consultancy business. So if you want to learn more about the Stockholm business scene, keep tuned in. Joining me now is Malcolm Larry, who is a coach, speaker and host, and his company is Brave Productions. Malcolm, thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Excellent. And so three main things to your Brave Productions. Yeah. You're a coach, you're a host, you're a speaker.
Yep.
Kick me off with coaching. What's your sort of typical customer there?
Yeah, well, I mean, my journey was actually from coaching individuals to coaching teams to working with organizations. So there's a red thread all through that. But the people who are coming to see me because they're trying to manage change. Right. So I get individuals who are coming to see me about career change, professional development. I get teams coming to me who want coaching on how to next level their team and deal with the communication challenges or whatever's happening in their team. So the typical customer is basically anyone that is looking to manage a big change in their life, and that is, I think that's, when people say what do coaches actually do, we actually put strategy around change. That's what we do for people. We help them sort out what their priorities are, where they want to go, what they want to do, but then it's the strategy that we put around that change that makes coaching really valuable.
I see.
Yeah.
And is that then mostly an individual just taking it upon themselves to bring that change, or do you speak with individuals that are in their company, and that can be a difficult thing to bring change into a company?
Yeah, well, sometimes leaders send me their people. Like, can you work with this person? So this person's a brilliant technician but not a great communicator, or this person's transitioning from a role in their company to now being a leader. Can you help them make that transition? So I'll be the bridge that helps them, move from one level of their career to another. But I think, one of the things that you see inside organizations a lot is people either want to move around inside the organization. It's like, I want to go from here to there. How do I do that? And they might have a lot of skills, but it's also about how you package that. So sometimes people are coming to me to also just work out, how do I communicate my value better within the organization or to the marketplace? And that tends to take up a lot more time than it used to, because we have to, as individuals, build our brand and be able to communicate our value to the marketplace.
Yeah. And you mentioned briefly about background and journey to that part of coaching. Now, I get a strong sense, and I know a little bit, that your transition, your change over a little while has been quite an interesting one as well. Do you want to tell me about that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I spent my 20s being a professional musician, playing drums. And then, I started moving into coaching and working in that area. And so I moved from the back of the stage to the front of the stage. But in some ways, I feel like that ability to communicate, through an instrument, to get an audience engaged, those things gave me such an advantage when I moved into speaking, because I already had thousands of hours of stage time. I could read an audience, I could feel the rhythm, tempo of a talk, all of those things. So when I wanted to move into running workshops for larger organizations, I had a lot of momentum behind me to do that. And so then I could take that coaching side and then transport it onto stage and work with bigger audiences. So I'm regularly working with big corporate clients, you know, everyone from sort of Ericsson and H&M right down to smaller startup companies. But for me, it's all part of the same puzzle. It's all you know, just sort of a different aspect of the same skill set.
But presumably you didn't go immediately from being the drummer sat at the back of the room to the front of the room speaking to Ericsson and a few hundred people.
I wish it was. I wish it was such a simple transition. No,
so who were some of the first clients then?
It's been, well, I mean, it's been a 25-year journey because it started with individuals, just coaching people one-on-one. And 25 years ago, like, coaching wasn't an industry. It was sort of a side thing that you did, and you were more of a counsellor then. People thought of you more like counselling. So they came to you more when they were really in a broken space. But then I started, you know, working with individuals, and then those individuals recommended me to work with their teams. And then when I was working with the teams, it's like, why don't you speak to the whole company? So it was, you know, I always joke that I fell up the ladder, right? It's like I just got really lucky. And I always say that, you know, also that, you know, good work is the best marketing, because that reputation will always push you into new and bigger spaces. And the work that I did with individuals was what allowed me to take those steps. But it was a long journey. But also I think with the kind of work I do, you need to gather so much information, knowledge and wisdom to be of value in that way, that now, turning 55 this year, I have that ability to work with lots of different kinds of people, lots of different kind of companies, but it's a confluence of many, many years.
And you're an Australian. Did you start this coaching journey in Australia? At what point were you move over to Sweden?
Yeah, so I started 25 years ago with the coaching, 25th year of coaching this year. And thank you. And then, you know, it was 12 years ago I met my Swedish wife in Sydney, and she imported me to Stockholm. And it was actually a blessing and a curse, because the curse was I had to let go of my whole network in Australia, more or less, and start from the bottom of the ladder here. But one of the blessings was I was sort of a novelty here, because the Australian way of communicating and being very energetic was actually a really good match for Swedish audiences, because I was able to draw Swedish audiences out of their what's the word for that? That shyness.
Shyness, yeah.
The shyness that you often get with the Swedish audience. It was like, oh, how can I crack this egg? And I worked out techniques and strategies to really get Nordic audiences really engaged really quickly, and help them be more interactive and have great sessions, you know. So.
And how do you, I imagine you mentioned that a few years ago then it was more of a counselling service, and now people sort of understand what coaching is a little bit more. Is there anything that you have seen as a trend as well that's happened during that time, or anything that how you keep on top of those changes?
Yeah, I mean, of course, since then it's been an enormous change, because you had the internet come in, and like it's just a different planet. But I think what people see now is that they're really happy to outsource things in their lives. It's like, I need a running coach, and they just outsource it. I need a career coach, just outsource it. I need to do a public speaking. I need to get better at public speaking. And so people are really happy to outsource different problems to people now, as where back in the day when I started, it was like people only came to me when they were in crisis, because they needed, like, I know I must have help. But now it's more, people are much more proactive in like taking steps to move themselves forward, raise the bar on their career or their skills, whatever it is. So I think the difference would be, it used to be very reactive, now it's very proactive.
And presumably that makes things a little bit easier for you as well.
Well, it does help if they don't come to me in their complete crisis, even though I can deal with that. But I think what it does is it actually also makes my audience generally has got younger as well. Like I used to deal with people who are sort of more in midlife, that part of their life, and really, but now I have everyone, my oldest coaching client 66, and my youngest is maybe early 20s. And so you get that broad range of people coming in, and not being afraid to just say, okay, I want to plan for this time. I've got one person who's planning for their retirement. What am I going to do when I retire? Trying to work out that, you know, fourth chapter of their life. And at 23, 24-year-old, it's like, now that I'm out of university, what do I do? And everything in between. So it's a blessing.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And so on a day-to-day basis, I mean, you mentioned that sort of good work is your best marketing, really. Are you looking for new clients now? I imagine you're always looking for new people.
Yeah, I always have a certain amount of turnover, but not too many. People are welcome to reach out to me at any time, you know, if they'd like some help or assistance with personal challenges, professional challenges, communicating their value to the marketplace. I think the thing for people to really think about is, what can I solve myself? And what if I outsourced it? It would happen 10 times faster and, you know, be much, much easier. And I had a client that came back to me after a long break last week, and he came in and said, I've got this problem, this problem. We spoke for 20 minutes, and he goes, look, you just solved my problem that I've been thinking about for 6 weeks. No, but the fact, well, one of the things is that when someone comes to me with a problem or a challenge, I have no emotional investment. But for them, it's a lot of emotion, a lot of thoughts. But, you know, being the coach, who's the, you know, the objective voice, you can just pull apart all the different pieces, prioritize them, put a strategy on them. And of course, if you've done it for 25 years, you can do it pretty quickly. But as he said, it's like, oh, it's so much easier when you're in the room for me to solve these problems. So I think, you know, as well, for people not to be afraid, just to say, why don't I just invest in a coaching session or with me or somebody else, you know, just to see what it's like, what is the advantage for me. And a lot of people don't know what they don't know, right? And so having that objective voice come in and help them, it's really, really valuable.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for, I'm sure that there'll be some people listening, watching today that will be able to think, I need to do some outsourcing as well. And can give you a shout. So
look forward to it.
If you're one of those people, then do give Malcolm a shout. His company is Brave Productions. Joining me now is Gevorg Simonian, who is CEO and founder of Libretto. Gevorg, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me here.
Libretto, tell me about what it is that you do.
Well, we help entrepreneurs with their accounting, and we try to do it as close to the business as possible. Meaning that we don't want to just do the technical accounting for transactions that took in place a month ago or two. But we try to do it weekly or even more frequently if it's possible.
Fantastic. So a kind of real-time, in the moment, getting to know your numbers in detail.
Yes.
Fantastic.
That's the vision we have, and we work towards that.
Brilliant. And Libretto, the word, using my thin Latin knowledge, Libre, books, but also...
Yes, book, also freedom.
Freedom.
Yes.
Do you think that's something that a lot of your customers get once they start using your system?
Yeah, that's what we hope for, and we work hard to relieve them from the stress of this accounting fear every entrepreneur, almost every entrepreneur has, you know. Yeah. So freedom to our entrepreneurs.
And you seem a pretty relaxed kind of guy, so I can imagine that comes through when you're helping these entrepreneurs. You're also probably quite relaxed because we're recording this at the very end of March. It's a busy kind of year at the moment, busy time of year at the moment, isn't it? How has the recent declarations gone for you?
Actually, we set up a goal to be done with all yearly declarations the first quarter. Yeah. And we are very close to being done with it, you know.
Very good.
I would say we have done 80% of all the financial reporting. Yeah.
And at what point were you able to say, yeah, done with that part of the year and we can move on?
You know, in accounting you are never done.
Yeah.
You can do things always better. And even if the numbers are correct, you could still call a client and ask, would you like to improve them? Would you like to restructure them? you know. And the goal is not to only send the declarations to the authorities, but also make sure that the entrepreneurs get good insights about their companies, their business. So that's the point. Like, you can always do things better in accounting.
I guess there's two types of people that look at accounting as just I must do this. This is something that I have to do and the authorities want me to do. And there's people that can take those numbers and actually read things into them and get that data out and help them to build their business in a better way. And it seems like that's the kind of person that you're looking for.
Yeah, exactly. Those who come stressed and say, "Oh, I need this get done," we still help them.
Yeah.
But we like the clients who see the value behind the accounting more than just authorities. Yeah. And that's what we also like. We like the data behind accounting and how we can use it to help the business to grow.
Absolutely. So who's your perfect kind of customer, the perfect target market? Are we talking, are you looking for big stock market companies? You're looking for little one-man entrepreneurs, or?
Not stock, not publicly traded companies right now, but it's could be one-man consulting firm. I could say up to 20 employees, not more than that. Then, because usually if it's a bigger company, we lose the entrepreneurship feeling, which we don't want to lose. We want to have this this feeling of that things are small, but really like our baby, kind of, you know.
Yeah.
So from 1 to up to 20 employees.
Okay. And thinking of employees, how big is your team at the moment?
We are a total of 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 5 people.
Fantastic. When it comes to how you came into this business, I think there was a bit of an interesting story here, that you're not an accountant by trade yourself. This is something that. How did you get into it?
Well, I'm economist, so I've studied at university, but I'm not specialized in accounting.
I see.
And when the pandemic came, I was looking for a job, and it felt like a full-time job to find a job. So I felt like I could do this full-time job to create a job.
Yeah.
So from May 2020, I decided that I will create a job for myself and for others. And then I realized that this market of accounting needs more of evolution towards more digitalized and automatized accounting. And yeah, we found it. We are doing 100% digital accounting, and we try to automatize as much as possible for our clients. Yeah, and without any big experience, I started the company. And it's actually a good thing in the long run, because you come into the business with white paper in front of you without any this how we did before in your head.
You get this when you start a new job, I think. I'm sure people are familiar with this, where you have this 2-3 months where you've got this fresh perspective and you can look at things in an entirely new way. And I imagine coming into an industry like this, that you were able to do that, and with your economic background, then you at least knew your way around numbers a little bit.
Definitely.
And you've also got an interesting co-founder alongside you. Tell me more about that.
Well, when I thought I'm going to start my own business, I have to have a team. I like building teams. That's my thing. And my first thing what I start to do is that to shout out about my idea. Because nowadays I think the modern way of starting a business is not to hide your ideas, is to communicate about them. So I posted on LinkedIn. I'm looking for actually someone who can help me with marketing. And Elias, who is my co-founder and also a shareholder, answered. And that's how the story started.
And how did you know Elias?
It is funny because he was actually my roommate a year before that, and we didn't say more than just hi to each other.
Hopefully you have a bit more of a rapport between you two now.
Yeah, now it's a never-ending love between us.
Fantastic. So whereabouts is the business now? Are you looking for funding? Are you looking for more customers? Growing the team? What's next?
The next is improve the quality even higher, do the highest quality we can deliver to our clients. After that, we can understand how much more space we have to take in more clients. So I don't want to stress about finding new clients or workers, but I let it go with this genuine, natural way. Meaning that if things are going good right now with the clients we have right now, then we can take in new clients, not just think about growth without any stable ground, you know. So it's to take things slowly each day forward, and focus on the quality then quantity. That's my my motto.
Quality over quantity.
Definitely.
And that being said, I'm sure if there's anybody watching this today who needs a new accounting firm, then you'd be happy to take some expressions of interest.
Definitely. I always love to meet new entrepreneurs and take the first call or meet here at the park, which is an amazing place to meet new entrepreneurs. And yeah, first call, talk, and then things can go forward and they can become our rock stars.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. That was Georg Simonian, who is CEO and founder of Libretto. Joining me now is Vilter Seke, who is the CEO of Nordconn. Vilter, welcome to the Park Talks. Thank you for joining me.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me a little bit about Nordconn. You're a group of consultants.
Yes, thank you, Tom, for having me. And yes, we are a group of consultants. Here in Sweden, we work as a boutique company. We have a few people who are really good in project management, data analytics, and in the HR field.
Mm-hmm.
So we are covering those areas, and we work on temporary projects. Our company is originally from Hungary, and I moved here from Hungary, but I'm living in Sweden for 2 years now.
Nice.
And in Hungary, we actually have 40 plus people, so it's a much bigger company, but we like to work with companies that are really vibing with us, you know, so we have a good chemistry, we can work together really well. And here we are building our business, our consultancy business.
So you started the company in Hungary,
Mm-hmm.
first of all, and how long ago was that?
That was 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
We started it with my business partner. He started the company, and at first it was more about recruitment, and then it moved to HR and HR technology. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
both of us worked at Microsoft, and
I
we
see.
started our consulting companies here. So
In Hungary, was
in
that?
Hungary,
Yeah.
yes. And at Microsoft, we worked internationally, so in Germany, around Europe. I worked a bit from India as well. So it was really, really international, and I always wanted to move somewhere abroad and
I was going to
start
ask
a
this.
business there. Yeah.
So Hungary, I'm guessing that often if you're expanding your company from Hungary, then you go to the neighbouring countries around there. But you've gone a little bit further afield and come over to Sweden. Was there any particular reason why Sweden next?
Yeah, so going close, that would be too easy, right?
Yeah.
You need
You
the
needed a challenge.
Yeah. So I always liked the culture of Western Europe, and my family is actually from Lithuania.
Uh-huh.
So also the Baltics and the Nordics, and Sweden looked like a really good choice. Also from culture perspective, I love the nature here, but I also see there here many good companies for consulting businesses, so it's a really good area for us.
Excellent. And so tell me, you mentioned project managers are one part of the types of consultants that you have. What kind of projects would they be working on then?
So our specialty is in HR and HR technology. We did many projects like implementing a new tool for HR, for recruitment, let's say, or for performance management. Or during the time of COVID, we did a lot of projects around that to look who are the people who are in sick leave or who needs a vaccination. And we built the technology tool, but also the process around that. So I would say all of our people have some understanding of the HR process, but they're really focusing on managing the project, delivering the results, and solving the problems.
I see. And there's around 40 people in Hungary, but how many of you are there in Sweden at the moment?
So it depends. Within the company we have 3 people, but we also work with freelancers who are within our pool. So we are always expanding our pool depending on the need. We have some people who are working in diversity, equity, and Inclusion. Yes, thank you. In that area, we have some people who are working in data analysis, so doing analytics on people data. I think that's a really important area when you want to be more efficient, and especially like last week, we had an event just here in the park, and it was about retainment and reskilling. And reskilling is a really important area in 2023 because many companies are lacking resources. They have hiring cuts. So what you can do is use the people that you already have within your company and maybe put them into different positions, into different fields. So that's the definition of reskilling. And for that you do a lot of analytics.
Fantastic. And so in terms of reskilling in companies, I know this has been kind of a hot topic in Stockholm and Sweden at the moment because there's a great skills shortage at the moment. Is that something that affects your business in perhaps a positive way?
I would say yes, in a positive way. We're always looking for people to hire and to work with who are really assertive and open to learn new things. So during our interviews, I would say, or when we decide if we want to collaborate, we do different kind of tests. We do logical tests for reasoning, we do a psychological test, and we really look for people who are good with jumping onto problems and solving them. So for example, just to look at a small area, if a company needs a new intranet site, right? For example, I am the project manager to delivering that, and I work with an external supplier to do the job. And they say, okay, the website will be ready 1st of May. And then it would be logical to set up a management meeting for the next day, right, to do the review. But we always think about, okay, what if there are some issues with the site? What if the supplier is too late? So there's need to be some time to do the reviews. And I think it's really important for a project manager or anyone who wants to be successful and efficient to consider all the problems that could happen and already plan the steps. So this is what we think about a lot, and we like to work with people who have the same mindset. Yeah,
and I think that's having that same mindset can make companies just so much more efficient as well. And I guess Nordconn, you're in the centre of a two-sided marketplace, really, in terms of getting customers and getting the consultants that you need. So is one or the other more challenging for you at the moment? Are you looking for the next customer, or are you looking for the next consultants to join you?
We are looking for both, and I wouldn't say one is challenging than the other. It just needs a different perspective. So we are always looking for people who are open for temporary projects, and maybe they are working now somewhere else, but let's say in September they want to find a new project, and it's really good to have a conversation because we can plan ahead, and then we say, we talk with a potential customer saying, okay, from September we will have a project manager who is really good in people analytics or in diversity and so on. So that could be a really good match.
Great to do that forward planning
Yeah,
and make sure.
definitely.
So if somebody's doing a bit of forward planning now, what type of company might you be looking for out there that's that might need your services next?
So I think the ideal connection is a company who is fast-paced. I would say the big multinational companies are also a good match because they are looking for temporary things, right? If you hire someone that could be really pricey and you need to provide them work and challenging activities for years and for the long term. But if you want to solve a quick problem, you can just hire a consultant for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months and do the job. When it comes to a smaller company, it's also good because we really train our people to not to wait for the processes to be set, and to follow step by step, but to be creative, assertive, and do the job anyways.
Brilliant.
So we like chaos as well.
Chaos, organised chaos.
Yes,
perhaps.
yes, we love that.
Thank you very much, Vilta.
Thank you, Tom, so much.
And if you're a fast-paced company who's looking for some fast-paced consultants, then I guess you now know where to turn. Thank you to all of our guests for joining us on the Park Talks this week. If you enjoyed watching, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll see you next time.